The rain was loud that night, the kind that hits the ground hard and makes everything feel heavier than it should. I was standing alone in my small kitchen, drying a plate after dinner, when my phone buzzed on the counter. I almost ignored it. No one ever called me that late. My life did not come with surprises anymore. But when I glanced at the screen, my chest tightened. Pamela Foster. I had not seen that name in years, not since high school. For a second, I just stared at it, my mind rushing back to old memories I thought I had buried. Walking home together under one umbrella. Sitting side by side after class, while I helped her with math homework she hated. Laughing about nothing. Then life happened. She got married. I stayed in this small Nebraska town, fixing engines and living quiet days. I answered before the call could stop ringing. "Pam?" I said. "Is everything okay?" There was silence at first, just rain on the line. Then her voice came through, shaking and broken. "Paul, can you come get me?" He locked the door. My stomach dropped. I did not ask who he was. I already knew. "Where are you?" I asked, already reaching for my keys. She gave me the address through quiet sobs, a place about 20 minutes away. When the call ended, I did not think. I pulled on my jacket, stepped into the rain, and drove. The road was slick and dark, my old Ford pickup pushing through sheets of water. The wipers struggled to keep up. My hands gripped the wheel tight as one thought repeated in my head. She is alone. She is scared. I am not letting her stay there. When I turned onto her street, I saw her right away. She was sitting on the front steps under the porch light, soaked and shaking, 2 duffel bags at her feet. She looked smaller than I remembered, fragile. I parked and ran to her. "Paul," she said, her voice cracking when she saw me. "You really came." "Of course I did," I said. I pulled my jacket off and wrapped it around her shoulders. "Come on, let's go." She did not argue. She just nodded and followed me to the truck. The ride back was quiet. The heater hummed. Rain hit the roof. She stared out the window, hugging herself like she was afraid to take up space. When we got to my apartment, it was nothing special. 1 bedroom. Faded walls. A couch that sank in the middle. But it was warm and dry. I handed her a towel and some clean clothes. "Get changed," I said. "I'll make some tea." When she came back out, wearing my hoodie, she looked even more worn out. She sat on the couch holding the mug with both hands, like it was the only steady thing in the world. "Thank you," she whispered. I didn't know who else to call. "You're safe here," I said. "You can stay as long as you need." She nodded, tears sliding down her cheeks again. That night, she slept on the couch. I barely slept at all. Morning came quietly. Gray light filtered through the thin curtains. I smelled coffee and realized she was awake before me. She was standing in the kitchen, staring out the window, my hoodie hanging loose on her. "Morning," I said softly. "Morning," she replied. "I hope it's okay. I made coffee." We sat at the counter and ate eggs in silence until she finally spoke. "I should explain," she said. I waited. "It's my husband," she said. "Things have been bad for a long time. Last night he locked me out because he thought I was cheating. I wasn't. I sat there in the rain for hours before I called you. I noticed bruises on her wrist. My chest burned with anger, but I kept my voice calm. "You did the right thing," I said. "You didn't deserve that." Her eyes filled again, but this time she did not look ashamed. She looked tired. She stayed. At first it felt temporary. One night turned into another, then another. I went to work at the garage like always, but coming home felt different. The apartment felt less empty. She watered the plants I always forgot, cooked simple meals with me. Some nights she flinched at sudden noises. I stayed close without pushing. One afternoon I came home and saw panic on her face. "He's here," she whispered. I turned and saw him standing near the building, calm, smiling in a way that made my blood boil. "She's not going with you," I said, stepping in front of her. Pamela surprised both of us. She stepped forward, her voice quiet but steady. "No," she said, "I'm done." He left after that, and when he was gone, she collapsed into tears against me. I held her there in the dim light of the apartment, realizing something had changed. This was no longer just about a place to stay. and neither of us was ready to say it out loud yet. Pamela stayed longer than either of us talked about. We never sat down and decided it. It just happened. One night turned into a week, and the week quietly settled into something that felt almost normal. I still woke up early for work, still spent my days under car hoods at the garage, hands stained with grease, body tired in that familiar way. But now, when I came home, the apartment did not feel empty. She did not try to change anything at first. She moved carefully, like someone afraid to disturb fragile ground. She cleaned up after herself, folded the blanket on the couch each morning, and thanked me for things that did not need thanking. I kept telling her the same thing. You are not a burden. You are safe here. Evenings became routine. Simple dinners, canned soup dressed up with crackers, grilled cheese, pasta with sauce from a jar. We cooked together in the small kitchen, bumping elbows, laughing softly when something burned or spilled. After eating, we sat on the couch, watching old movies. She hugged a pillow tight against her chest. Every creak of the building made her tense. When it happened, I did not say anything. I just stayed close enough that she knew she was not alone. One night, after a long silence, she spoke. "Paul, I need help," she said. "I want to leave him for real. I want to do this right, but I don't know how." We sat at the coffee table with her phone between us. Her hands shook as she scrolled through legal pages and numbers. I did not pretend to know everything. I just stayed there, helped her make the calls, listened while she explained her situation in a quiet, careful voice. When she hung up after the first consultation, she let out a breath like she had been holding it for years. "I couldn't have done that alone," she said. "You did it," I replied. I just sat here. Days passed, then more. She started sleeping better. Not perfect, but better. The bruises faded slowly. She talked more about the early days of her marriage, about how things changed little by little, how control replaced kindness, how fear became normal. I listened. Sometimes I wanted to interrupt, to say how angry it made me. But I knew this was not about my feelings. This was about her being heard. One afternoon, I was outside working on my truck when she came running toward me, breathless and pale. "He's here," she whispered. My chest tightened. I saw him near the entrance, leaning casually like he belonged there. I stepped forward without thinking. "She doesn't want to see you," I said. "You need to leave." He laughed, calm and cruel. Pamela stood behind me, shaking. Then she surprised me again. She stepped up beside me. "No," she said. "I'm not coming back." Her voice was soft, but it did not break. He left after that. The moment he disappeared, her strength fell away. She sank down, sobbing, and I caught her before she hit the ground. I held her there until her breathing slowed, until the shaking stopped. That night we sat in the dim light of the living room. No TV, no music. Just the sound of rain tapping the windows again. "You've given me something," she said quietly. "Safety. I didn't think that still existed." I looked at her, really looked at her, and felt something shift inside my chest. "I'm here because I care," I said. "Not just because of the past, because of you." She reached for my hand. I let her. We stayed like that for a long time, fingers laced. No rush. No words that needed saying yet. A few weeks later, her phone buzzed while we were in the kitchen. She read the message and sat down slowly. "It's finalized," she said. "The divorce, the restraining order. He can't come near me anymore." I expected relief. Instead, she cried, quiet, exhausted tears. "I don't know who I am without the fear," she admitted. "I don't know what comes next." I sat beside her. "It's okay to not know," I said. "You've been surviving. Now you get to learn how to live again." That night, I cooked a real dinner. Chicken. Potatoes. Soft music playing low. We ate slowly, grounding ourselves in small, normal things. Later, she stood in the doorway, watching me wash dishes. "Paul," she said, "I want to live again. I want a place that feels like home." I turned to face her. "I can't fix everything you've been through," I said, "but I can stay. If you want me to." She stepped closer, slowly, carefully. She leaned her forehead against my shoulder. I wrapped my arms around her, holding her steady, feeling her breathe. There was no rush, no kiss, just a quiet understanding settling between us. And I knew then, this was becoming something more. Summer arrived slowly, like it was careful not to rush us. The long, gray days finally gave way to soft mornings and warm light spilling through the apartment windows. Pamela was still there, and by then, it no longer felt temporary. The space had changed in quiet ways. A new curtain hung by the window. The balcony plants were alive again. The apartment felt like someone actually lived in it, not just passed through. She found a job at a small flower shop downtown, the kind of place with a bell on the door and buckets of fresh flowers spilling onto the sidewalk. I started dropping her off on my way to the garage some mornings. She would wave at me from the doorway, hands full of flowers, smiling in a way I had not seen in years. Not the polite smile she used when she was trying to be strong. A real one. "They make me feel like I'm creating something beautiful," she told me one evening, her hands still smelling like soil and petals. Our days settled into a rhythm that felt safe. I worked, she worked. Evenings were ours. We cooked together, ate on the balcony when the air was cool, and talked about small things. Funny customers. Stubborn engines. Memories from high school that made us laugh. We never labeled what we were. We did not need to. Sometimes our hands brushed, sometimes they stayed together. It felt natural, like something that had been waiting quietly for the right moment. There were still hard days. Some nights she woke up shaking from nightmares. When that happened, I sat with her until her breathing slowed, reminding her where she was, reminding her she was safe. She never pushed me away. She never asked for more than I offered. And I never offered less than I could give. One afternoon, I came home to find a folded note on the kitchen table with my name on it. I opened it carefully. "Thank you for coming to get me that night. Thank you for staying. If I ever feel lost again, I hope you will be the one to come get me. Always." I stood there holding the paper, feeling something heavy and warm in my chest. When she came home later, flowers tucked under her arm, I pulled her into a hug without saying a word. "I meant every word," she whispered. "So did I replied. By fall, we stopped pretending this was temporary. I cleared out half the closet. She added framed photos and fresh flowers to the shelves. The apartment became ours without either of us having to say it out loud. Evenings turned into walks through the neighborhood, leaves crunching under our feet, fingers laced together. We talked about small futures. A dog someday. A short trip to the lake. Nothing big, nothing rushed. One night, sitting on the balcony under a clear sky, she leaned her head on my shoulder. "I used to think love was loud," she said. "I thought it was fighting and making up and proving something. This feels different." "It is different," I said. "It's quiet. It's choosing to stay." She looked up at me then, her eyes clear, unafraid. For the first time, I allowed myself to admit what had been growing inside me. "I love you," I said. Not as a question. Not as a promise I could not keep. Just the truth. She smiled, soft and sure. "I love you too," she said. There was no rush after that. No fireworks. Just a deeper calm. We knew what we were building, something steady, something safe. Looking back, it still amazes me how it started. One call. One storm. One decision to show up. And everything changed. Fall faded into winter quietly, like it did not want to disturb the peace we had built. The first snow came overnight, soft and clean, covering the streets and rooftops by morning. Pamela stood at the window with a mug of coffee in her hands, watching the world slow down outside. "I used to hate winters," she said. "Everything felt trapped, cold." "And now?" I asked. She turned to me and smiled. "Now it feels like rest." Life did not suddenly become perfect. There were still moments when the past tried to reach for her. A loud argument on TV, a door slamming somewhere in the building, an unknown number flashing on her phone. But now, she did not face those moments alone. When fear crept in, she reached for me, and every time, I was there. She started laughing more, real laughter. The kind that fills a room and surprises you when you hear it. The flower shop loved her. She came home with stories about customers and bouquets she was proud of. Sometimes she brought me flowers, setting them on the table like it was the most natural thing in the world. "You don't need to keep buying me flowers," I joked once. "I know," she said. "I just like giving them to you." We made the apartment ours in simple ways: matching mugs, a small rug in the living room, a framed photo from our high school days, smiling awkwardly at the camera, placed right by the door, a reminder of where we started. One evening months after that rainy night, we sat on the balcony wrapped in blankets, the city quiet around us. The stars were out, clear and steady. "Do you ever think about that call?" she asked. "All the time," I said. "I almost didn't make it," she admitted. "I was scared you wouldn't answer. Or that you'd think it wasn't your problem." "I would have driven anywhere," I said, "no matter the hour." She rested her head on my shoulder, her hands sliding into mine. "I don't feel broken anymore," she said softly. "I feel chosen." I squeezed her hand. "You are," I said, "every day." We never had a big moment where everything changed. No dramatic proposal. No sudden declaration to the world. One day, we simply realized we were already home. Together. Love did not come to us as fireworks or loud promises. It came as a steady presence. A door left open. A car driving through the rain without hesitation. Sometimes, late at night when the apartment is quiet and she is asleep beside me, I think back to that storm, to the fear in her voice, to the choice I made without thinking. "Can you come get me?" I did. And I would again. Every time.